Good morning, everyone. This is Corey Green. Welcome to those watching live on YouTube, on Facebook, Instagram, those watching replay broadcasts, or listening to a podcast. Welcome to the Glory Carriers Prayer Closets. Good morning, Sandra. Good morning, Ruby. Good morning, Dej. Good morning, Tamika. Good morning, Sheila. Good morning, Mary. Good morning, Abra. Good morning, Sanji. Good morning, Dale. Good morning, Delita. Good morning, Toy. Good morning, Catherine. Good morning, Coletta. Good morning, Diane. Good morning, Prayer Closet. Good morning, Sharina. Good morning, Wilroy. Good morning, Cheryl. Good morning, Judah. Good morning, Andrea. Good morning, Sandra. Amen. It's Augustine DeLogan. Welcome again to the Glory Carriers Prayer Closet, where it's another day and another victory, another day for us to advance God's kingdom, another day for us to fill this earth with more of God's glory as we continue to stay in position through prayer, through faith, and obedience unto the Lord. So again, we feel grateful and thankful again for another opportunity to do just that, another opportunity to again fulfill the will of the Lord in this earth. So again, we stay in that place of thanksgiving, that place of rejoicing as the Lord continues to thrust us forward into this time, into this season that we are now in. Amen. And today, this morning, we're going to get into a little bit about it kind of stemmed from conversation meeting from yesterday, about the power of being silent, the power of silence. I know I've talked many a time about quiet time, how even, going to the altar, sometimes you don't have to say a word. And so just understanding that power in that. So really the power of saying nothing, the power of saying nothing. And why this is so important to understand, so important to grasp, is because even in prayer, historically, most often we're used to talking, we're used to saying a lot, we're used to a lot of words coming out of our mouth. But you keep hearing me say all the time, less is more, less is more. As you continue to go deep in the glory, advance in the glory, you will find that less is more. Saying less is more, because holy altars that we've established are already doing the talking. They're already repeating, recording, already recorded what you said, what you prayed, repeating it back. So now your prayers are on autopilot. I spoke about a few weeks ago about God automating our prayer life. And some of this is what I touched on, alluded to, and how I've accomplished more at this point when just going to the altar and saying nothing, because so much has already been said. The holy altars are speaking what we've already prayed. They're defending what's trying to come up against us. And so God, again, is requiring our time. He just wants us. He wants us. And that he's God, but yet he still wants us. He still wants our time. And so it's less about what you say. Even scripture talks about, during the time that the Pharisees, they feel like there are much words and they're praying in synagogues, that they're in public and loudly, and that they're much words is gonna, make them look so good. All they, because there are many words that they say. It's not in the words that are spoken. Yes, scripture says there's death and life in the power of the tongue. Yes, the spoken word is powerful. We understand that our voice is powerful. Yes. But when we're talking about prayer, petitions, even intercession, all that, is prayer. But the most powerful, one of the most powerful things in the glory is the power of silence. That power of your quiet time. That power of going to God, but not having to say anything. Because even that our heart speaks out, our heart can cry out. Scripture says that when Cain killed Abel, God showed up. So, okay, Cain, where's your brother? Abel. Cain was like, my brother's keeper. He goes, oh, but his blood is crying out from the ground. His blood had a voice. I've taught this before. Everything has a voice. In air, our blood has a voice. It has a voice. So understand that you're speaking even when you're not speaking. God hears our hearts cry. And that's why the most significant thing here is the ability to go to God. Now, yes, you can you pour out your heart, you can let him know, but after that's done, even power of just sitting there in silence. And the thing is, oftentimes I talk about the importance of quiet time and how it was a challenge for me at the beginning. Donna's been doing it for a long time. She taught me about the importance of quiet time and all this. And I'm like, and I wrestle with it because I'm a doer and a goer. And okay, what I need to get to it. Like I was very transactional with God. Business. He knows he tell me to do it. I'm going to do it, but just tell me what to do. Tell me where to go, how to do it, what you want me to do. So it was that go. But she was more of quiet time. So I was like, so you just sitting there saying nothing to God? And I tried it many times at the beginning and dozing off and like, my mind is going, I'm trying to focus. Okay, now I'm getting sleepy. Like, cause I was so used to doing the talking and then waiting for God to respond or praying and waiting for God to respond. And it was mentioned yesterday how I would always say that ain't nobody gonna outpray me, but now how things shift and as you go deep into glory and important, now I'm like, okay, it's not so much, oh, nobody can outpray me. I'm gonna go. It's about that time with God, that quiet time with God, letting him dialogue. And I tell you all the time, even if when you're going and not saying anything, deposits are still being made. You're meeting with God, he's still imparting things into you. And some of those things he impart into us, we may not see or hear for weeks later, months later, because there's so much that's being imparted just in your silence. To be quiet and listen. And when you're quiet and listen, you don't even have to hear anything in that moment. Enjoy the time. Thinking on his goodness, just sitting there in his presence, in him, meeting him at the altar, and you don't have to say anything. I'm here, Lord. I'm here for you. I'm here to spend time with you. Spending time with God and praying aren't necessarily the same thing. Because some people's aspect of prayer is just petitions. Petition is only one facet of prayer. But I told you that even in petition, that's the lowest form of prayer. Because I talked before, when he says, ask, it shall be given, seek, you should find, knock, and the door shall be open. Asking is a level. Seeking is another level. Knocking is another level. And at asking is to petition. Lord, please do this. Lord, please do that. Lord, please help me with this. Lord, please do that. Lord, please this. Lord, will you do this for this? Will you do this for them? Lord, will you open this door? It's petitions. Now, there's nothing wrong with petitions. He said, make your petitions known. Make your petitions known. And even that's a level. There's even levels to that level. There's different types of petitions. And petitioning from the outer court is different from petitioning in the glory. And the beautiful thing about the glory is you don't have to spend a whole bunch of time making petitions, because there are things that are making petitions for you, that are asking for you, that are asking about you, that wants to be with you, that wants to connect with you. And I've said this many times, because the glory draws, it attracts that. And now it wants you. It wants to connect with you. People want to be around you. Possessions want to be used by you. That bench wants you to sit on it. That aisle in the grocery store wants you to stay on it. Everything has an air, right? So, but again, there's levels to the level. So petition is just one form, but it's the lowest level. Ask, seek. That's the holy place. Knock, and the door will be open. Knocking. I'm in the holiest holies. I'm knocking. Yes, Lord. I want to come in. I want to come in and dine with you and sup with you and fellowship with you in your presence. And his presence is so powerful. His presence is so strong. There's no need of your words, because words can't even describe his presence. Words can't describe the glory. We can do our best to put words to it, but it's him. It's the essence of God, who he is. And we talk about in his presence, his glory. The glory does all the talking. We just need to show up and sit. Let's go to Habakkuk 2. Habakkuk chapter 2. Habakkuk 2. We'll start at verse 12. Now we know Habakkuk was a prophet, and he was aware of the sins of Judah and all the evil that they were doing and the idol worship. But he was also, crying out to God, making his complaint, Lord, this is going on. You're going to let this keep going on. And then the Lord said how the Babylonians was going to rise up and rule over them and doing all these things. And then, of course, the Lord would also come back and judge the Babylonians. But Habakkuk was crying out to God for help. Like, what's going on? What's happening? Right? But here in verse 12, we pick up Habakkuk 2 and 12. This is the Lord speaking now. He says, what sorrow, and this is New Living Translation, what sorrow awaits you who build cities with money gained through murder and corruption? Has not the Lord of heaven's armies promised that the wealth of nations will turn to ashes? They work so hard, but all in vain. For as the waters fill the sea, the earth will be filled with an awareness of the glory of God. Did you catch that? The earth will be filled with an awareness of the glory of God. Now, us being positioned to be carriers of the glory of God, distributing the glory in the earth, the holy altars distributing the glory in the earth. Now, look, he says the earth will be filled with an awareness of the glory. The earth has been waiting for more of the glory, for the manifested son and daughters of God to rise up, to show up. He's talking to you now. He's talking to you. He's talking about you there. Fill the earth with his glory. Okay, verse 15. What sorrow awaits you who make your neighbors drunk? You force your cup on them so you can gloat over their shameful nakedness. But soon it will be your turn to be disgraced. Come, drink and be exposed. Drink from the cup of the Lord's judgment, and all your glory will be turned to shame. So now he said, okay, y'all want to do evil? You want to worship idols? You're going to drink from the cup of the Lord's judgment. We don't have to let our wicked enemies know what's coming. It's clear. They're going to drink from the cup of the Lord's judgment. The Lord's wrath. And you showing up in silence just to meet with God. And I'm seeing all what's going on around you, all the evil that's trying to take place. Holy altars are defending you. Cutting off was trying to cut you off. Erasing was trying to erase you. Destroying was trying to destroy you. Catching our blind side, but we can't see. Heavenly hosts going to war on our behalf. We just have to stay up, show up, stay strengthened, encourage ourselves in the Lord, continue to feed our spirit. And that's why he says the enemy's at war, but we're not warring. The enemy's warring, but we're not at war. And we have to continue to get comfortable with this level of warfare because it seems like we're doing less. But the warfare is even greater at this level when you deal with the glory. It seems like we're doing less, but we're actually doing more. The glory requires us to do less because the spiritual system that God has connected us with and opened our eyes to is doing the heavy lifting. Jesus Christ has done the heavy lifting. So though the warfare is greater, far greater than what we've been in, we're actually doing less. Because this level of warfare, when you talk about the glory and principalities being involved and horsemen and higher ranking spirits and all and higher ranking witch and warlock being on the scene and having getting you on their radar, that there's way more attention on us. So I mean the warfare is far greater, far more intense. But yet we do less because the glory is doing more. It's less of us doing, and now the glory is going to work. Holy altar is going to work. But it's not the same level as someone who's in the outer court who's saying, well, I don't need to do all this. I don't need to do that. I don't need to, war. And ain't no warfare. I'm not concerned with all that. That's different. Because they haven't done the things necessary, put the system in place necessary to combat what's coming at them. And not only that, what's coming at them ain't at the same level because it's not necessary. The enemy don't have to employ so many resources on someone who don't even half believe the enemy can do anything to begin with. We understand that because God took us the way where he knew there would be giants in the land. He took us the way where he knew there would be warfare. And we were trained and equipped and continue to be trained and equipped. But now it's a different level. It's a different strategy. But the strategy is even more powerful because when we send the glory forth, as I said, everything you can think of is wrapped up in it. The power of God, the blood of Jesus, the soul of the Lord, the fire of God. So you sending the glory is so powerful. And it's less than how we used to war, way less, but it's way more powerful. It's accomplishing way more in a short amount of time. As I said before, we could have spent hours praying and warring and striking enemy and praying and warring and come against the foot soldiers and then some of the horsemen and praying and warring and just send the glory forth. One time will accomplish more than we accomplished in hours, months, of warfare. And depends on the level of it, could be years. Definitely years when you go through levels. So I'm helping you to see the importance and the significance of the power of saying nothing. When you send the glory forth, a lot is being said in those few words. A lot is being said in those few words when you say, I send the glory forth. Oh, what's going on around me? I send the glory forth. Now let me go and spend some time with God. But don't you know what's going on there? Don't you see what's happening there? This is going on. You need to be concerned about that. You need to be worried about that. You need to be praying about that. You need to be going in about that. Oh, I am, but I'm not. The altar's going in on that. The glory's been sent forth. I'm going to spend time with God. I'm going to see what God would say. What God want me to focus on. This is the power of saying nothing. But it's so powerful. But it's so powerful. But it's so powerful. But we are people who are used to speaking and saying and feeling that the more I say, the more I get, the more I say, the more I do. Because if I'm not saying nothing, then I'm not doing nothing. I'm being idle. I need something to do. I need to put my hand in something. I need to be doing. I need to do this so that it seems like I'm doing something. I send the glory forth is doing a lot. You're going back to the scripture, Habakkuk 2. Verse 17. You cut down the forest of Lebanon. Now you will be cut down. You destroyed the wild animals. So now their terror will be yours. You committed murder throughout the countryside and filled the towns with violence. What good is an idol carved by man or a cast image that deceives you? How foolish to trust in your own creation, a God that can't even talk. What sorrow awaits you who say to wooden idols, wake up and save us. To speechless stone images you say, rise up and teach us. Can an idol tell you what to do? They may be overlaid with gold and silver, but they are lifeless inside. But the Lord is in his holy temple. Let all the earth be silent before him. Now God's on the scene. God showed up. God's presence is here. Let all the earth be silent. And that Hebrew word for silent, it means hush. Keep silence. The Strong's Concordance, hold peace. Hold peace, tongue. Keep silence. Be silent, still. A primitive root to hush. Hold your peace, your tongue. Hold your tongue. Keep silence. Be silent, still. It means to hush. Let all the earth hush. Let all the earth be silent. The Lord is in his holy temple. The Lord is here. So we're going to God, meeting him at the altar. We're going to him in his presence. What would we need to say? It's already being said. We can't formulate the words. It's already being said. It's already being said. Let all the earth, he said, all the earth, everything has an air, a voice, be silent. Reverence the Lord. Be quiet. There's power there. There's power there. There's power. And he said, just be silent. You don't have to say nothing. We're going to spend time with God. Let's see what he has to say. Let's see what he has to say. Let all the earth be silent. All the earth, because the glory is here. The glory is present. The glory is present. Are you following me? There's power, the power of saying nothing. Of saying nothing. And understanding this is going to continue to transform your prayer life. Because silence is also a form of prayer, a part of prayer. It's also a part of prayer. It's also a part of prayer. But knowing the power of saying nothing when you already are locked into the spiritual system that the Lord has connected us with, help us to understand how things work as he automates our prayer life. You don't have to say much. When you're going to spend time with God, what words could we possibly formulate in the presence of God? There's many things we think we would say. But it's like, would I even find the words when we're just in awe of him, of who he is? But if we continue to master the art of hushing, being silent in his presence, we'll be amazed how much more we begin to hear. Because we come with a lot of things on our mind sometimes, and we're wondering this and feeling this and worry about this. So this is coming up and think about this and just clearing out all that clutter. Lord, I'm here. I'm just laying before you. I'm just sitting before you. It's a powerful form of prayer because it's saying, Lord, I don't have an agenda today. I don't have no words today. And sometimes things on you so heavy, you don't have no words to begin with, but it's just, Lord, I'm here. Speak if you want to, but I'm here to listen. I'm here just to sit at your feet. I'm here just to sit in your presence. I'm not coming with an agenda. I'm not coming with things that need to be done, taken care of. I'm just here for you. I'm here to do your will. I'm here to serve you. I'm going to hush right now and see what you would have to say. And see what you would have to say. Power in your silence. The power of saying nothing. Now let's go to Mark 15. Mark 15. Beginning with verse 1. Mark 15. New Living Translation. And before I go there, I'm going to read the Amplified from Habakkuk 2 and 20. But the Lord is in his holy temple. Let all the earth hush and be silent before him. Hush and be silent. Verse 14 and Amplified again, Habakkuk 2 and 14. But the time is coming when the earth shall be filled with the knowledge of the glory of the Lord as the waters cover the sea. So the earth going to be filled with the knowledge of the glory of the Lord. And we're a part of that. We get to help to bring that about in the earth. All right, Mark 15, New Living Translation, verse 1. verse 1 through 5. Very early in the morning, the leading priests, now this is Jesus on trial, the leading priests, the elders, and the teachers of religious law, the entire high council, met to discuss their next step. They bound Jesus, led him away, and took him to Pilate, the Roman governor. Now let's pause there for a moment. This is the leading priests, the elders, the teachers of religious law, the entire high council, the Sanhedrin, the leaders of the Jews at that time. These were the leaders, the highest ranking leaders. And they met. The leading priest, the high priest was in there. These were the leaders, the teachers of religious law. These were the ones in charge. And they gathered to talk about the next step. Now that part of the mission was accomplished, to try to kill Jesus. Pilate asked Jesus, are you the king of the Jews? Jesus replied, you have said it. Verse 3, then the leading priest kept accusing him of many crimes. And Pilate asked him, aren't you going to answer them? What about all these charges they are bringing against you? But Jesus said nothing, much to Pilate's surprise. So Pilate's like, wait a minute. These are some major accusations they bring against you, some major charges. These charges they bring against you can result in death if you're found guilty. And you have nothing to say. Pilate was surprised. It's the governor. He's like, wait a minute, what you doing? You know, defend yourself. Jesus said nothing. Because everything that needed to be said was said. Everything that was going to be said was going to be said. But he didn't have to speak it. He didn't have to say a word. He knew the power he possessed. He already told the disciples when they came arrested, you don't think I can send 12 legions of angels right now to come and wipe this whole place out? But now ain't that time. Now ain't that time. I know what I have to do. But he was silent. In the midst of all these accusations, all these charges that the leading religious leaders brought against him. In other words, in our day, common day, this is the church. This is being crucified by the church, being ridiculed, being castigated, being attacked by the church. But Jesus said nothing. And Amplified in verse 4 says, then Pilate asked him, have you no answer to give? See how many charges they are bringing against you? But Jesus gave no further answer. So Pilate was perplexed. Understand this as well. Sometimes your silence confuses the enemy. And you heard the saying, sometimes you got to move in silence. Strategic movements in the glory. And the enemy's wondering what's going on. Why they not doing this? Why they not responding this and reacting like this when we do this, when we do that? We're poking here. Why they not responding this way? Why are they silent? Because see, many times, especially knowing what we know now, the enemy's going to try to bait you into a fight. Because see, when they bait you into the fight, they already have a trap set. So they're trying to get us to say certain things. They're trying to get us to come in agreement with certain things. So they're trying to trap us to fight on their terms. And that's why many of you still see the enemy trying to bait you back into a fight, because they want you to war like you used to war, because they understand the significance of when you send the glory for how much more damage that does. They would rather us fight them in that way than to send the glory. Because they know they can do nothing for the glory. There's no legal right they can use to infiltrate the glory. There's no legal right they can use to stop the glory. So now we sitting there talking, we're going to fill the earth with the glory of God. That's the problem for the kingdom of darkness, big time. So they were like, go back to fighting, come back to fighting. Let's try to wear you out and wear you down. Because we'll send so much your way, you'll be tired, worn out from fighting. They want to bait you into a fight. They're upset that we're moving the way that we're moving. They're upset that we're sending the glory forth. That we're not exerting the same type of energy on them that we once did, because we know it's a different type of fight. We know it's a different type of fight. That's why we have to now move more strategically. Because you're dealing with the glory. And you're dealing with the glory, principalities get involved. So sometimes you have to move in silence, and we have to move very strategically because of what comes with the glory and the attention that's on us in the glory. And I've told you before how the Lord was telling me and Donna, I'm teaching you, I'm moving you strategically in the glory until you learn how to strategically move. Like I'm moving y'all strategically in these things until I teach you. Now he teaches more of how to do it. And it's amazing, but I understand why he does things and did things that we didn't understand then. Now it makes more sense, much more sense now. And remember, God says he's not doing this for his sake. He's doing it for our sake because he's on his throne. He's not getting off it. We have to rule and reign here. We have to navigate on this earth. So that's responsibility. That's ability. But now you go from saying a lot and coming for the enemy at every turn. And now the enemy's like, they ain't looking for us. Before they was looking for us. Now, first it was a sigh of relief that we weren't looking for them like we was looking for them. But then all of a sudden, they realized, wait a minute, this is worse. They're sitting in the glory. We ain't looking for them. We ain't looking for them. Now the glory looking for them. And they're looking at us this way. And they getting hit blindsided. They get smacked. Their plans getting blown up. But when they assess the situation, they're like, I see them there. I thought they were there, but it's now we're caught up in the cloud of the glory. So God playing with them. Oh, they're over there. I see them. Let's pursue. Let's go after them. No, they're not there. They're over here. They're over there. It's like they're going to be seeing our face everywhere because we're encapsulated in the glory. And so now, flash a light, our face. God's going to flash our face over here. Flash, oh, let's go get them. And they're going and thinking they're ambushing us. The glory, choke them out. The glory, drown them out. The glory, wipe them out. The glory, blow them up. So now, how God's strategically moving, I'm showing you mysteries. Because the enemy needs to get a visual on us, our movement. Even if they can't see us, they're trying to track our energy, what we're giving off. They're trying to track our scent, what we give off, right? They're trying to get us to think certain things because it gives off an aroma. Scripture says that our praise, our worship of God is a sweet smelling aroma in his nostrils. So it works on both sides. Our anger, rage, or doubt, or fear, it has a scent. And so the enemy's trying to track us through a scent, through what we give off, the energy, negative energy. They're trying to track that. They ride on the waves of negative energy, just like angels ride on the waves of our positive energy, on our praise, on our worship. They ride on those waves. So then the enemy is trying to sniff us out. Okay, we don't see them. Let's try to track their scent. Let's try to track their energy. What can we get them to give off? Let's try to poke at them. Let's just throw something out there to see if they grab to it, if they're going to react to it. Let's try to locate them. Well, let's try to locate someone close to them, someone connected to them. What can we use? Who can we attack? Who can we get to try to get them to come out of hiding, get them off their throne? The glory is the greatest protective custody there is, because principalities are now trying to take us out. But they now, when them foot soldiers and those horsemen coming and those witch and warlocks all trying to work together to try to stop us, with the principality now showing up, but like they got to look into it themselves. It's like they'll see our face. Okay, they're over there. And they say this is happening on this time, on this date. So let's prepare for it. Let's go to work now. And then it comes like, I thought you said it was this date. Well, that's what they said. That's what I heard them say. They said on this date, this is what God's doing. On this date, this is what they're supposed to do. But they didn't do it. It didn't happen. And I told y'all, God started giving us these different dates, and he was teaching us. He was like, no, I'm just showing you something. And that's when we went to the whole going back to the future and going to the future, like we be into the future and we bring into the present, but we're into the future. So we done went, but then we haven't physically went yet. So we went in the spirit, we haven't went in the physical yet. And so all these things he was teaching us, it was like, oh, what is this? And if you didn't understand what he was doing or trust he was doing, you would have the enemy would have tried to use it, confuse you. It will try to cause more frustration and doubt and be like, am I even hearing from God? What's going on? But now he begins to show, I'm showing you how to strategically move in the glory. So the enemy was thinking, this date, this is going to happen. This is what's going to go on. We need to do this. So they already had their resources into a certain place, and it didn't happen when they thought it was going to happen. But we had to be all in, completely all in. We couldn't be like, well, I don't know if it might. We had to be all in because we had to make it believable for them, and we had to believe it. Until God says, now I'm going to tell you what's going on. Now I'm going to tell you what I actually did with that. Because if we go in and we know, okay, well, this shouldn't be a real thing. God just doing this to set the enemy up, not for him, but for us, then it would be like, I don't know what's going on. It'd be like, am I a prophet? Do I hear from God? Am I even a child of God? What is going on? Am I losing my mind? No. Trust me. Trust what I'm doing. I'm teaching you how to move strategic in the glory, but I'm moving you strategic until you learn how to. And so in these lessons, what was discovered was like, oh God, you really are moving us strategically in the glory. This is different. I've never seen anything like this. I've never heard anything like this before. Now it's making more sense. And it is throwing the enemy off. It's getting the enemy off your trail. Because God will have you to travel. Watch this now. He will have this, and I already taught about time travel in the spirit. God will have you to travel somewhere in the spirit in advance, well before you physically go there. And this is part of strategically moving in the glory. And I'll go deeper in this another time. So he will have you to go somewhere. He'll give you an instruction, do this. Okay, so but in the realm of the spirit, as you're time traveling, you're going there in the spirit way before you go there in the physical. But as you're going there in the spirit, the glory is going before you. You actually going and doing things and handling things before you physically get there. And this has to be done this way when we're dealing with the glory, because the level of attention that's on us when we get there. We have to go ahead and set things up before we physically get there. And all that's going is this: we send a glory forth and we ride on the cloud of the glory. And he was sending us on an assignment before we actually fulfill the assignment. So when it physically comes and happens, we've been here before. And that's really where the whole quote unquote deja vu comes from. This seems so familiar. It feels like I've been here before. This scene, because you have. You have done it. You went ahead. You went ahead. But now it's physically catching up. You physically now doing what's already been done in the spirit. We send the glory forth. When we send the glory forth, we're in the glory. And that's what I'm saying. The Lord can flash our faces before the enemy, and they're thinking, and this is a mystery of the glory. Where literally the enemy will think you're there. Literally, physically, the enemy will think that you are there. But it was the glory that went before you. I'm teaching you more mysteries about time travel. And the significance about when you say, I send the glory forth, what you're actually doing. And that's why I told you many things. God told me and Donna, y'all dealing with that. I moved on from that. But Lord, this is right in our face. This is a big deal. What do you mean I moved on from that? So y'all need to move on from that. Don't get caught up in this. That's done. Y'all done handled that. Y'all handled that last year. Remember when I had you doing this and doing that and coming up against this, doing that? That's done. So all you're seeing is an aftershock of it. And the enemy's trying to get you to come out of hiding. But what you're seeing is the confusion of the enemy. Watch this now. The enemy go mess around and start fighting stuff, like beating against the air, fighting stuff, blowing stuff, trying to blow stuff up where you're not even there. And they confused because they really thought you was there because they saw your face. They thought that was you. They smelled your scent. It was a setup. The glory set them up. The holy altar set them up. But the thing is, because we're physically still here in the vicinity, and we see an aftershock, we can't be fooled to think that that's something that's going on now. That's something that is catching up with now physically, but we've been here. We've done this. We've conquered that. This ain't a repeat. It's a rerun that's coming up, but God's moved on from it. You moved on from it. It's just physical time is so much slower than supernatural time until we are led to believe that we're still in something that we're already out of. And so God shows up and says, I done moved on from that. I was baffled. I was like, how you moved on when physically, tangibly, this is going on right now? Well, I tell you, you walk by faith, not by sight. If I told you I moved on from it, that means it's done. And I'm going to show you where y'all took care of it at. I'm going to show you when y'all handled it. Oh, wow. You can't go by what you see. You can't be moved by what you see. I moved on from that. You handled it. You already time traveled and took care of that. But the enemy thought you were still there. The enemy thought they still had an opportunity there. And all you've seen is an aftershock. You got to catch it. You got to catch this mystery. You so far ahead in the glory until when the foot soldiers coming, there's witches, warlocks, swords coming, they're attacking and they're hitting, but they fighting your shadow. But because it's your shadow, physically, you're close by, so you're feeling some of the aftershock of them just attacking your shadow. Where they thought you were, where they think you are, they literally thought that was you. It was your shadow. The glory is playing games with it. The glory is throwing them off. So now the enemy been fighting your shadow, but you thought they fighting you, they hitting you. You just feeling the aftershocks or something. And then now we putting all our time, energy, and focus on something God done moved on from, something you done moved on from, but you don't realize you moved on from because now you're getting trapped in time. You're bowing to time when you are ahead of time. So now you're bowing to time, and that's how the enemy can try to trap us in time to try to get us to go by the speed of natural time. You ahead. The enemy is on their toes. They are confused right now. They are very upset because we've tapped into all this. They're very angry, very confused, and they're putting all their resources and are still losing. So don't be fooled by where it appears you are. You're further ahead. God is strategically moving you in the glory. Strategically. And I'll give you another simple example. Let's just use one term, financially. Okay, you feel I should be here financially. This should be going on right now. And there's times I told you the process God had took us through. But now we're out of the process. But he's saying, now I'm strategically moving you now. Now there's certain things that are happening, and I'm going to have the enemy to believe that they're doing something in this. I'm going to let them think that they're choking your finance. Now, granted, we're dealing with a higher level, so it's now we're dealing with wealth of nations. So you could be talking about a little bit of money, but they're gonna fight hard over that little bit because they recognize that it's the glory talk and the glory at work. So it ain't this little bit that you need to get this done. It's wealth of nations now. So they're coming to you not as fighting you over this little bit, because they'll be like, okay, well, if they have that, that's fine, as long as they don't get the wealth of nations. But now you're talking about the wealth of nations, and you're dealing with larger territories and that type of stuff. So now their attention is on you as though you already have that, or that they know that you're positioned for it. So then they're gonna fight. So they're gonna do all this stuff. And God's like, let them gather, let them do what they do. But I'm gonna let you know what's going on. I'm gonna let them think that they're doing that. But I don't want you to think that that's what they're doing. I don't want you to believe that that's what they're doing. Whatever strategies they working and employing, God said, let them gather. I'm gonna pull them into my net, and I'm gonna show you some things. I'm gonna gather them into my net, and I'm gonna let them get close. Because there's some things the Lord revealed to us. I'm like, Lord, what you doing? Why are you letting this? Why are you bringing? I'm gathering them into my net. Now, if you were to sell this to a lot of churches, it's not going to make sense. Like, well, why would God do that? Because, see, we think we know God until we realize how much we don't know, how much we're still learning about him. And I shared with a group recently that there was a time in our church where there were more witches and warlocks who were members than there were not. And most of the church can look at it and be like, well, something must be wrong, because it shouldn't be all these witches and warlocks coming with this. Oh, if this, oh, in the church, there's all this power. So they must be doing something wrong. Something must be going on. They must be not in position, et cetera, et cetera. And they're saying it now. It's usually the powerless one is saying these things. So they are attracted to the power. They are trying to gain up rank and move up in rank, and they have to go with this power. They have to go with it. And the thing about it is, they were coming before we even was walking in the glory. Because there are certain things they already knew what we were supposed to do. So they had to try to stop it ahead of time, try to intercept it ahead of time. So if we had more witches, warlocks, and sorcerers that were members at one point than that were not members, then how does that work? And then the Lord shows it. What are we supposed to do? And at one point in time, we was calling them out and doing this thing like that. And God said, no, you can cease from that now. Don't need to do that. I'm gonna beat them at their own game. Let them be on their toes. Let them think you don't know. And then it came to the point where we knew that they knew that we knew, because we already had encounters with them. So we knew that they knew we knew, but they had to still play the game. They can't blow their cover to everyone else. So either they're not gonna blow their cover to everyone else. We could call them all out. And at a time, at a level, that's what God had us to do. But now it's a different level. You're dealing with more sophistication. You're dealing with higher rankings, things of that nature. He's like, no, let them all gather. I'm going. The very net they think they're trying to trap you all in. I'm going to trap them in their own net, their own trap they're going to fall into. So think about you showing up, ministering, doing all these things. You still got to show a love of God to this witch warlock that you know is on assignment to cause deception, to deceive, to kill, to destroy. You know it. You look them in the eyes. You know it. They know that you know. And you got to smile, and they go smile, and they go come with this stuff, but you still got to show up anyway. But it's what you got to trust God in. It's his vision. It's his church. So it's nothing when we go places and they're everywhere. They're everywhere. But most of the church we're led to believe, oh, that's just something over there. That's only practice in other countries. They're everywhere in your neighborhood. And I've told y'all stories for days. But let me tell you how strategic God is. Let me tell you how funny God is. And I am with this story. We talk about the power of your silence, and not so the power of your silence is I'm literally seeing God gather folks in the net. So the other day it was cold outside, and so London told me, you know, some of his friends could come in. It was in the garage. Okay, so now he has an altar, and there's times where he'll sleep on his altar, and so and most of the kids in the neighborhood, the families are Hindu or practice some other religion. We've seen their altars, all type of things. So it's different. We done dealt with a lot of things since we've been here, and so and I told y'all the story about how the high priestess in the neighborhood who she was and how that was all exposed. And so we some of the kids came in, and you remember London got a lot of them saved already, you know, probably like a year or two ago. And you know, they accepted Jesus, many of them, right? So other day they was in the house, they was in his room, and there was on the iPad and was playing building stuff, Lego and stuff like that. So walked by, what Donna had mentioned, it was about to get the girls ready their bath. And so walked by and saw, she's like, come look at this, come look at this. And she took a picture. They're literally in his room. It's like three or four of them at that time. I think it was three of them at the time. And they were sitting there relaxing, chilling on his altar. Literally. Now, they're already in the glory house, but now you're taking that back to where you're going, back to your home. And so it was just a little thing. I said, you can't make this stuff up. You can't make these things up. They literally, you know, because his is set up in his closet. And so he opened the door, and literally he has the altar set up in his closet. And literally they're sitting there relaxing on and do you understand what took place? I can't even begin to describe to you what took. They weren't even around altar, they was on the altar. Do you understand this? Relaxing. But do you know what they took with them? You know what followed them, you know what went with them. And yeah, absolutely, the glory was drawing them. He didn't ask for them to come inside, they wanted to come inside. But the London had to be like, oh, this is that. Didn't have to say nothing. The altar did the talking. The altar did the drawing. Anywhere else in the room they could have been in, that's where they wanted to go. The altar, the power of the altar, and a draw, and no words had to be said. What words had to be said at that point? The altar did the talking. The glory did the drawing. Just like that. And so you think you think they left with something. You think. And watch this now. Watch this now. Now, we never done it in the neighborhood. None of the kids ever done it. But hey, guess what they ask them? Can we have a sleepover? Can we sleep over next weekend? That's what they want to do. None of his suggestion. They're asking him. You don't have to say a word. The power of silence. The power of saying nothing. Because the glory did the talking. The glory did the drawing. When you done put in that time, you done been showing up, let the altars go to work. Because now this is one of London's petition early on, 3 years ago. When we first moved there, he wanted all the neighborhood kids to be saved. And watch this now. And one of the kids, now granted, he's probably like, London's 13, and the other kid think was 13. Now there's one who, you know, like to get into stuff or try to push the button, and he was talking to London, he was like, he had wanted him to London to come to his house, whatnot, and London, no, I can't go over it, you know, the day can't go over whatnot. Because this kid is one of them sneaky ones try to do things, whatnot. And he said, well, don't you want to lie to your parents? Just lie to your parents. You just lie to them. Just lie to them. And he was like, I'm not going to do that. Like, why would I want to do that? And so anyways, so this is a kid who like to push the envelope. Now he be coming around. So he's changed some, but he's still a certain way. Right. And so, and we was just relaxing, chilling that day, whatever was going on. And I felt something off. Donna said, "You feel, where's London? What did?" I said, "I don't know. He went. I know he didn't go to the house. We told him not to go, but so went and called him, and he came back and started breaking everything down. He was telling Donna about, I think I was doing something else, but how all the stuff this kid was saying, all the stuff he was trying to get him to do, and how he was saying that the whole time he was feeling his spirit. He said, I felt this weird feeling in my stomach, like it's just, oh, this is stuff he was saying, like he was just, he like this things. And so of course, learning again, discernment and what you picking up when you picking up on certain things. And at the same time, this kid also gets jealous, like if London is being friends with somebody he don't want to be friends with, or doing things that, well, why'd you get me to do it? Why'd you ask me to do it? Why? So it's like all this stuff going on, but this kid has already tried to sow seeds in the past, right? And there was like a separation. They wouldn't talk for a while, but then he came back around. But there's something, but he came across as this real nice kid, but it's a lot of deception going on, right? So now he's a place he's recognized, okay, my discernment's kicking in. I'm seeing this. I'm seeing what he's doing. He even tried to explain, certain things he watched on TV. He was like, well, there's a conscious side and a subconscious side. The seed, it's just, that's stupid. That doesn't make sense, But I guess it was this other girl that was there, and she was saying, well, it does make sense, because, it's something that's being said that you don't realize is being said. Anyway, so London trying to school him, but it's like, he's like, but some people just, you can't get through to him. You can only sow seeds. He said, well, I'm just trying to sow seeds in his mind. But anyways, but the beautiful thing about it is that now he's standing up in this boldly and recognizing, okay, this person trying to be a bad influence on me. They're trying to sow seeds. They say they're my friend, but I see how they operate. I see how they move. I see, how they try to be the cool person and see all these things. So those seeds are getting blown up. And two of the other kids, I guess, had got into a fight at one point in time, and London was trying to bring peace, trying to get them to talk, and they didn't want to talk. He finally got them to talk, and now they're cool again. But then, just a whole bunch of stuff going on. But seeing that some of his prayers and his time on the altar, he didn't even have to say anything. Now it's just him showing up, playing with them, and now you see they're being drawn more and more and more, and asking, well, can I stay over? Can I come in? So all this stuff changed, but I'm showing the power not having to say nothing, because he didn't have to say anything. And a lot of that, and they're showing up more and coming more and wanting to do. And especially because some of them were younger, but the older ones, they didn't want to hang out as much before, because they thought they were too cool. And some of the kids were a little younger than London, and they didn't want to play certain games, certain things. So now all the older ones are coming and doing the same thing. You know what I'm saying? So it's that influence, the power, the glory, but nothing had to be said. It's the power of saying nothing, because you done spent that time with God. You done met him at the altar. So I'm just giving you that example of the altar's work. You just work the altar. You keep meeting God, showing up with God, spending that time with God, and just know that the glory will do what the glory does. And God is strategically moving us in the glory. And that's a whole nother teaching for another day. I touch on it, bits and pieces of it. But the main thing today is the power of saying nothing. Just spending that time with God, sitting at his feet, learning that practice, that discipline even more than what you've been accustomed to. Because much is being imparted into you, much, 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 much. And then we release the glory, send the glory forth. So I send the glory to go before you, to go ahead of you, to surround you, in Jesus' name. And I do that more and more on Prayer Closet, because I want you to grasp the importance and significance of how powerful that prayer is by itself. So now your focus can be more on spending time with God, incorporate more of that quiet time with God. And don't feel like, well, I got to say more to get more. I got to say more for things to move. The saying has been done. Sit there when God said, okay, this is what I want you to cover. This is what you need to focus on. This is what you need to pray on. This is what because this is going on here, honing on that. He'll teach you. He'll tell you what to pray. Holy Spirit will tell you what to pray. Instead of always just going with all your petitions You don't let it lay it at the altar, leave it there. Okay, we got that done. Now let's sit in silence and practice that learning how to sit in silence, because it is a discipline. And being open to Lord, what you're saying. And it's not just when you at your altar, be in your car. Some you got the altar in your car. Some your altar is your car is an altar, which not, by the way, we discovered there's someone in the neighborhood. This family in the neighborhood. And I noticed it was this car, and I'm in here. It was this car. And I noticed this car. It don't even look like a car that should be in the neighborhood. And I'm seeing this car, and I noticed it was parked when my prayer walks. I always notice it in that location. Then I noticed it one time I was on the way, not a different location. And then one day we were walking, and we saw them. They was cleaning out this particular car. We finally saw the people who owned it. And I remember Alethea was walking, a 2-year-old, and she just stopped. And she saw, she saw something in the spirit. She paused, and it was like, what are you doing? What's going on? And then when we walked by, we felt obviously something's going on, but okay, done seen it, been there, done it. So keep it moving. But then I noticed car somewhere else. And one morning I was like, it was like parked literally right across from how we stayed. First time I've seen in this spot. I said, let me find out that's an altar. Let me find out that's an altar. Then I mentioned it to Donna, and she looked back, and I think like a day or two later, it was confirmed. Yep, it's an altar. And so they moved this, and they live far, so they got to walk to this car, far distance, but they're parking in different spots, like spots that don't even make sense. It's so obvious. Why would you park the car? Like you could have parked closer. You could park in your driveway. Like that's the thing. But they're setting this car up as an altar in these different locations. But obviously, ain't gonna do that. We don't own the scene. We don't have, so we sit in glory. But so like I'm saying that some of your cars are an altar, but guess what? That's strategic too, because you going taking it to work, you taking the grocery store. It's still doing things in that territory. So they're trying to do things here. If nothing is moving, it's not going to work. But the fact that it's even the boldness of it even being around is laughable to me. But so just know that the enemy is going to try any and everything. This stuff is all around. Don't be alarmed by it. Don't be fooled by it. Don't be afraid of it. That's why we set up our holy altars, because they're trying to set it up everywhere. They already have it set up everywhere, but now our holy altars are being set up to combat those evil altars, and we win. And the thing is, they can't have this neighborhood. They have not had this neighborhood. We transform this neighborhood through the glory of God. And so even when, if we're not here, the altars ain't going nowhere. That we're already established here. So we're still here when we're not here. Power of holy altar. So I'm saying this again, the power of you saying nothing. Work the altars. The altars work. You just have to work the altars. So I send the glory to go before you in Jesus' mighty name. No matter where you are across the globe, but this is home, that I'm your pastor, your spiritual covenant. You've been hearing the sound. It's bearing witness with your spirit. You're growing. You're being transformed. You're being stretched. This is home. Send an email to info@thecoregreen.org. Info@thecoregreen.org. Maybe you already have a church home, but you still feel very connected here. You can also come aboard as a partner. So membership or partnership, send an email to info@thecoregreen.org. And we welcome you in advance to the room family in Jesus' name. So again, you already know. Stay on your throne, rule, subdue, have dominion. Don't you bite the bait of the enemy. Don't bite the bait of the enemy. Stay in God's face. Stay on your throne. The altars work, but you just have to work the altars. Amen. So as always, remember that you are the breath of God, and God never wastes a breath. God bless you. Have a smile upon you. See you soon.